Hello dear fans, friends and subscribers, this is your host Ram welcoming you to your daily edition of the cricket happenings. As yesterday I previewed 3 matches, today I'm going to give you the match summary of all those matches. The first thing, I will start off with what went in Sri Lanka and West Indies. Today was the first day of the second test match between West Indies and Sri Lanka, and on a pitch which had a lot of juice, lot of assistance for the pace bowlers. I think the West Indians did a fine job. They bowled well in the right areas. They stuck to their guns, I would say, by putting up a good display of fielding, which was lacking in the first test. So they definitely learned from their mistakes, and the fielders supported the bowlers admirably. And then we also had a left-arm spinner, the debutant left-arm spinner from West Indies, Jamal Warrican, who on his debut took 4 Sri Lankan wickets, and that enabled West Indies to bowl out the Sri Lankans for just 200 runs, and West Indies in reply at close of play was 17 for 1. The other match, Pakistan versus England, today was the first day of the second test match, and well, Pakistan really got into a good position, one could say. Initially they really struggled, but thanks to Misbah, the captain, who carved an unbeaten 102 with 8 fours and 5 sixes, and in fact he rushed to his century in the last over of the day when he smote 2 sixes of the bowling of Moeen Ali, I reckon. He smote 2 sixes to get to his century, and he was not out on 102, and Shan Masood did well after the being an early victim in the first test matches. Today he made 54, and Yunus Khan contributed a neat 56, and Pakistan at stumps were well placed at 282 for 4 against England on the first day. Now, as far as there were no debuts for Pakistan or England. In fact, both the teams playing the same team. The only difference being Yasir Shah coming into the team, and for England, well, if you look at the England composition, they retained the winning combination. Then I will also like to talk about as I said, the 4th one-day international which was played today, Chepauk in Chennai, and for India, in fact, this is a very auspicious day for India, as we all know. They are celebrating. It's a festival which is being celebrated, Dasera as we call it, and India on that auspicious day went on to level the series against South Africa 2-2, with the 5th one coming up at Mumbai, 5th one-day international coming up at Mumbai, going to be a real beauty of a match, as we had a wonderful match which was enacted at the Chepauk Stadium here in Chennai, where India managed to defeat the South Africans. I'll tell you the margin. I think it was 25 runs. I'm just trying to see what was the victory margin. In fact, India made 299, and South Africa finished at 264 for 9. But both the sides had their superior players really making a mark there. One was Virat Kohli, went on to crack 138 of 140 balls with 6 fours and 5 6. But let me tell you, that knock of Virat Kohli was absolutely put into the shade by the South African player, the South African captain, Ab De Villiers, who really toyed with the Indian bowling. When the wickets were falling all around him, he not only was holding the innings together, but what a knock. I think Ab De Villiers is the most dangerous batsman in the world. The way he was toying with the bowling, the way he was maneuvering his strokes, the way he was playing with extreme audacity, that was a real treat to watch. I mean, he was playing reverse sweeps, he was playing switch hits, he was doing everything that one could not find in a cricket book, and absolutely I thought, even though Virat Kohli played very well, not taking any credit away from him, but I think I would really say that it was Ab De Villiers. Even though South Africa finished on the losing side, Virat Kohli was the man of the match, but I thought Ab De Villiers, well, if South Africa would have won, there was no doubt that Ab De Villiers would have been the man of the match. but what an innings. I mean, that innings was really worth watching. A brilliant knock from Ab De Villiers, which took him to a century. In fact, he went to his century with a 6, and Ab De Villiers made 112 runs of 107 balls with 10 fours and 2 sixes, but still finished on the losing side. But the India-South Africa series is now really, as I said, it has been a really tough series. And now the final one, which is coming up at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, is going to be a real beauty on 25th of October. But so this was like talking in brief. But now I will get into some little details, I would say. So let's get on to the first match, which is between West Indies and Sri Lanka. Today was the first day's play in the second test match between West Indies and Sri Lanka. As you know, West Indies, Sri Lanka are already one up in the series. First and foremost, I would like to talk about some debuts for West Indies. Jamal Warrican, the left-arm spinner, really made a wonderful debut, bowling 20 overs, 2 maiden, 67 runs and 4 wickets. He was the one who actually made his test debut for the West Indies. And as far as Sri Lanka were concerned, they had Kushal Mendis actually making his debut. But unfortunately, in sharp contrast to Jamal Warrican, the test debutant for the West Indies, Kushal Mendis disappointed. He was pretty edgy throughout his stay at the crease, and he could contribute only 13 runs. So as far as this particular match was concerned, as I said, this particular pitch definitely had everything that West Indies wanted. There was a lot of juice in the pitch. The ball was moving about, and the pace bowlers were really getting a lot of punches out of the wicket. And what a toss to win. In fact, if you look at the toss there, the toss was actually won by Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka actually won the toss, and they elected to actually go and bat first. But probably they would have realized that that already they are one up in the series and they have nothing to lose. Probably that's the reason Angelo Matthews decided. But let me tell you, the West Indian bowlers really grabbed the initiative from the Sri Lankans, even though they won the toss, and Sri Lanka were bowled out for 200. In fact, if you look at the card there, the only person, Milinda Sriwardena, who was probably playing his second test match of his international career, was the highest scorer with a neatly made 68 with 6 fours and 2 sixes. In fact, it was in the first wicket, Kaushal Silva was out to a beauty of a delivery from Jerome Taylor. The ball was angled in. The ball actually was angled in, and at the last moment there was some late movement for Jerome Taylor as the ball nicked the bat of Kaushal Silva's bat, and Ramadhin behind the stumps took it, and Kaushal Silva was sent packing for a duck of the 4th ball of the Sri Lankan innings. Karunaratne was LBW ball holder for 13 with 1 boundary. Kushal Mendis, as I said, making his debut, disappointed, making a very edgy 13 runs with 1 boundary, becoming a victim of Kemar Roche. Chandimal actually played well. He didn't score any. He decided, since Sri Lanka were in real trouble at that stage, when they were 59 for 4, when Angelo Matthews departed for 14 to the bowling of his counterpart Holder, they were in real trouble, and then it was left to Sriwardena and Chandimal to do something about it. Chandimal could manage 25 with no boundaries, but Milinda Sriwardena really, it was only thanks to Milinda Sriwardena that Sri Lanka could at least reach the total of 200 runs. Otherwise, one does not feel that Sri Lanka would have even reached the 200 mark. But Milinda Sriwardena really impressed with his 68. But after that, it was Warrican who was completely that was the time when Sriwardena was playing well and he had scored 68. It all started with Warrican getting amongst the wickets. The debutant left-arm spinner bowling admirably, with first taking the scalp of Milinda Sriwardena with 68. Probably the Milinda Sriwardena, in fact, the shot that Milinda Sriwardena played was not a good shot, one could say. It was out to a full toss delivery from Warrican. He was gone for 68. Kushal Pereira, the dasher, was caught and bowled by Warrican for 16. Pereira was stumped of the bowling of Bishu for 5. Rangana had survived for 26 with 1-4 and 1-6. And then the tail was cleaned up by Warrican as he took the wickets of Prasad and Pradeep for 7 and 0 respectively. And what a test debut for James Warwick, the left-arm spinner. 20 overs, 2 maiden, 67 runs and 4 wickets. Devendra Basu bowled 8 overs, no maiden, 1 for 18. Jason Holder 11 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 22. Kemar Rose 12 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 30. Taylor 15 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 50. But one thing that I would be talking about this West Indian bowling is that first of all, there was definitely a lot of assistance in the pitch, and West Indies bowlers took full advantage out of it, bowling in the right areas. Then the left-arm spinner came into the mix and did a fine job. And also, let me also have a word about the fielding of the West Indians today. They were marvelous on the field. In fact, they learned their mistakes that they did in the last match that they did, and they really improved themselves in a very nice manner, and they supported their bowlers admirably, and that enabled them to bowl out the Sri Lankans for 200. And West Indies replying to this 200 all out were themselves in trouble. Shai Hope once again failed to the bat as he was LBW to the bowling of Damika Prasad for 4, and after that West Indies closed the day when bad light stopped play with Brathwaite not out on 4 and Devendra Basu, the night watchman, sent in not out on 5. 17 for 1. It was day 1 here at the that was the close of play on day 1 at the in this match, in the second test match between West Indies and Sri Lanka. Prasad 3 overs, 1 for 9. Pradeep bowled 1 over for 5 runs. Rangana had 1.2 overs, no maiden, none for 1. So that is as far as that match is concerned. Now, talking about the next match that we are going to talk about is between Pakistan and England. Now, stumps on day 1, Pakistan closed at 282 for 4. The entire 90 overs was bowled, which was good to see. There was definitely, it was a lot hot there at the Dubai Stadium, and there was definitely some assistance for the bowlers, one could say, and we also could see some early turn. And looking at the early turn, one would probably feel that Yasir Shah, the renowned leg spinner who is in the team in this particular test match, could really play a big role. For Pakistan, well, all eyes were on Shan Masood. Shan Masood had a harrowing time against James Anderson, but today, in fact, Mohammad Hafiz and Shan Masood put up a 50-run partnership. Shan Masood also showed that he can play the pull shot well, and he handled the short ball very well, I thought. But Mohammad Hafiz was the first to go as Moeen Ali picked up his wicket by getting him caught by Bairstow for 19 with 4 boundaries. The toss was actually won by Pakistan, and they elected to bat first. Now, Shan Masood was looking good. He played some very good strokes. In fact, he brought up his 50 with a beautiful shot. I thought it was a spinner who was in service. I thought Moeen Ali was smacked for a 6 straight over his head. Shoaib Malik was out in a very unusual circumstances when Jonathan Bairstow took a very good catch. Probably the ball hit the helmet and he took the catch, and Ben Stokes was the bowler. So Shoaib Malik was gone for 2. And it was a brilliant catch by Bairstow, and that made it 58 for 2. And Shan Masood, after playing a good hand of 54 with 7 fours and 1 sixer, making up for the loss that he had in the first test match, but again James Anderson, who has taken his wickets 2 times now, took Shan Masood's wicket for the 3rd time, as he had Shan Masood caught behind by Butler for 54. But after that, Yunus Khan came in, and that was the time, even though Shan Masood played, I thought Pakistan were in real trouble at 85 for 3, and then there was a sort of a revival being done by those 2 war horses for Pakistan. Yunus Khan and Misbah have stuck it out there for quite a long time by negotiating the English bowling, and then finally we saw Yunus Khan was pretty sedate. Misbah was also into his shell, and we saw there was some real crawling going on with Misbah and Yunus Khan in the middle. But then finally we saw all this was something which was absolutely needed, before one realized, we saw the partnership really taking good heights as the partnership went on to almost 100 and I thought it was in fact it was just 93 runs partnership between Misbah-ul-Haq and Misbah-ul-Haq and Yunus Khan. and then finally it was Mark Wood who picked up the wicket of Yunus Khan for 56 when he had him caught behind by Butler, 56 with 4 boundaries. But Misbah ul Haq, who was, as I said, Misbah ul Haq got a good partner in. Once Yunus Khan was out, the score was 178 for 4. Asad Shafiq walked in. Asad Shafiq also showed, as you know, Asad Shafiq is a good stroke maker. He played some very nice strokes. But Misbah ul Haq was really playing in a very sedate manner. But we also saw that Misbah ul Haq was mixing up everything. I mean, he was pretty quiet. But as and when anyone were offering wit, any spinners offered wit, he was pretty quick to pounce upon the opportunity to come down the wicket and put them for sixes. In all, he hit 5 sixes and 8 fours. And one probably thought that Misbah ul Haq will be waiting for his century on the morrow, but he really surprised everybody, and this is what Misbah ul Haq is all about. He really surprised everybody when in the final over of the day, he decided that he's going to get to his century today itself, and he smacked 2 sixes in that over. One was sent over long on, the other was swung high, wide and handsome over the fence for a six, and Misbah ul Haq finished in the last over of the day, the 90th over of the day. Misbah ul Haq got to his century. He was not out on 102 with 8 fours and 5 sixes. Asad Shafiq had given him beautiful company. He was not out on 46 with 6 fours. And I thought it was a good partnership. In fact, this was the 104 run unbroken partnership which took Pakistan to 282 for 4. And as far as the bowling was concerned, Anderson 16 overs 5 minutes, 1 for 33. Broad 13-2, 36 none. Moeen Ali took 1 for 82. Mark Wood had 1 for 26. I thought Mark Wood was the pick of the bowlers today. Really kept him bowling up to the mark and not reeling any liberties to the batsman. Ben Stokes 14 overs 3 minutes, 143. Adil Rashid was wicketless today. 13 overs 1 made and none for 60. So that is as far as that match is concerned. So Pakistan, I would say honours were even. 282 for 4. Pakistan at close of play on the first day's play here at Dubai. Now the next match which I'm going to talk, the last match that I'm going to talk on this Cricket Happening show, it's going to be India versus South Africa. It was a very important match, as we all know, for India and South Africa, and India were the ones who actually batted first. They won the match by 35 runs here at Chepauk Stadium in Chennai. Chepauk Stadium in Chennai was roaring today. Indians were the ones who actually won the toss and chose to bat. It was a good pitch to bat on, and India amassed 299 for 8. The feature being Virat Kohli getting into some great form here. In fact, he played some beautiful strokes. In fact, India lost openers early. Rohit Sharma was out for 21 of 19, dealt with 4 fours when he actually was caught by Du Plessis of the bowling of Morris. Morris today coming in place of Mone Markel, which was definitely a blow for South Africa, because Mone Markel has bowled very well in the last match, and it was sad to see that Mone Markel had to miss out, and there was a blow for them. And Morris definitely captured the wicket of Rohit Sharma, who came in the place of Mone Markel. Shikhar Dhawan continued his very poor form in the one-day series, as he was out for 7 of just 15 balls. He struggled at the crease there. Virat Kohli forged a good partnership with Ajinkya Rahane. Ajinkya Rahane was the quieter of the two, and they had 104 runs for the third wicket, with Ajinkya Rahane contributing 45 with 53 balls with 4 fours. After that, Suresh Raina was another man who was under the microscope as far as his form was concerned, but Suresh Raina gave very good support to Virat Kohli at the other end. As Suresh Raina got himself to a 50, he made 53 of 52 balls with 3 fours and 1 6. But Virat Kohli was the one who got to his 23rd ODI 100 in style. In fact, hitting a 6 to reach his century in a Virendra Sehwag manner. From 94, he jumped to 100 with a 6. And Virat Kohli contributed 138 of 140 balls with 6 fours and 5 6. And ultimately, it was the man of the match knock from Virat Kohli. And other than that, Dhoni made 15 of 16 balls. Harbhajan Singh out for naught. Akshar Patel not out on 4. 299 for 8 was the final tally for the Indians. And look at the bowling. Dale's team definitely coming in for some severe beating there. 10 overs no maiden, 3 for 61. Kagishwar Rabada always has been impressive. Once again we showed what an impressive bowler he is. 10 overs no maiden, 54 runs and 3 wickets. Morris 9 overs was very costly, coming in place of Mone Markel, 1 for 55. Fungiso 9 overs went for 51. Imran Tahir 9 overs carted for 58. And Bahrain bowled 3 overs for 17. As far as South Africa were concerned, they had their troubles against spin. Pace was not something. Pace was coming very easy for the South Africans. They started the chase in the right manner. As Bhuvneshwar Kumar initially was looking listless today, and he was taken for runs. In fact, today we saw that they decided not to have the opening combination of Quinton de Kock and Miller. Instead decided to open with the out of form Hashim Amla, and once again this time Hashim Amla, who has always been a victim to spin, getting out stumped, today was out to the pace bowler. Mohit Sharma taking his catch, Hashim Amla trying to whip a ball through the mid-wicket region, Dhawan taking the catch, Hashim Amla was out for 7. After that we saw Quinton de Kock play some beautiful strokes to make 43 of 35 balls, but then the Indian spinners totally got into the South African batting there. It all started with Harbhajan Singh bowling superbly, first getting rid of Quinton de Kock when he was caught by Rahane for 43. Du Plessis getting a faint edge to a ball from Akshar Patel, caught behind by Dhoni for 17, and David Miller, who came today at number 4, was LBW bowled Harbhajan Singh for 6. Which made things pretty tight for South Africa when they were struggling at 88 for 4. But then Bahrain joined in and started giving the support to Ab De Villiers. But Bahrain himself was a victim of the bowling of Amit Mishra, when he could not read a delivery from Amit Mishra, who had him LBW for 22 of 38 balls. But Ab De Villiers stood there like a colossus, one could say. He really once he saw that he decided, and the ball was turning. Let me tell you, dear friends subscribers, there was definitely some turn in the wicket, and the spinners were definitely exploiting it very well, Bhajan, Patel and Mishra. But Ab De Villiers then decided that now he is going to play the brand of cricket that he is known for, and that is dangerous cricket. And what a way to actually, Ab De Villiers was completely, totally dominated the Indian bowling. In fact, one thought that probably Ab De Villiers will probably pull the game away from India, but because with the way Ab De Villiers was playing, it was a real treat to watch. He was maneuvering the ball into the gaps. He was hitting those lofted sixes, and also we saw. We all know that Ab De Villiers can play his brand of cricket. The river sweeps were coming about. There were a lot of innovation, and he was really, I would say, toying with the Indian bowling, even though South Africa was struggling. I thought that was something great batting from De Villiers. It was a real treat to watch, as he was really carving the bowlers for boundaries and sixes as well. And Ab De Villiers has said he was playing the river sweeps, the switch hits, and he was also playing some tennis strokes like forehand smash, the backhand smash. It was really something. It was a brilliant innings, I thought. It's very sad that this innings could not take South Africa to victory, but what an innings Ab De Villiers played. In fact, this man could have really taken the game away from India the way he was playing today. He really, got in charge, and he understood the situation, and he knew that the ball was turning, and he really turned his approach totally against the spinners, and I'm sure the spinners would have been really frightened by the way Ab De Villiers played, and they probably didn't know where to bowl to Ab De Villiers. Such was the dominance with which he played. And the run rate was also really spiraling at that stage. And then we saw Morris making 9 runs of 18 balls, who was run out by Rahane. And then Arun Fungiso started throwing his bat, but De Villiers himself. That was the one wicket that India were looking out for, and that came in the form of Ab De Villiers. As Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who had done a really shabby job with the ball in the initial stages, got a very big wicket, and what a relief it would have been for him. As Ab De Villiers was trying to play one of those tennis stashes, the forehand smashes there, actually got an edge. The Dhoni took the catch, and this was a very big catch for Dhoni, because Ab De Villiers was a big thorn for India, and the thorn disappeared when Ab De Villiers was on, but not before making 112 runs of 107 balls, 10 fours and 2 sixes. A brilliant innings from Ab De Villiers, really setting the Chepauk Stadium alight today. Bahrain 22, Morris 9, Fungiso threw his bat, for 20 or 22 balls, becoming a victim of Kumar. As I said, Kumar came up, and what he did is he picked up 3 wickets after bowling very badly in the initial stages. At least he got some solace there as he picked up the wicket of Fangiso with a short delivery for 20. Then it was Dale Steen's turn to go out to Kumar as the run rate was really getting out of control. They had to get probably a clip of more than 7 or 8 runs per over. It became too much for them, and finally it was all over with Kagiso Rabada not out on 8, Imran Tahir not out on 4, and all that South Africa could do was end up with 264 for 9, India winning the match by 35 wickets at Chepauk in Chennai, and thus leveling the 5-match series 2-0, and the 5th and final one-day international, which is coming up at Mumbai on 25th of October, should be a real beauty, and that will decide who is going to win the series. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar coming up well in the final stages by picking up the wicket of Ab De Villiers after doing some shabby bowling in the initial stages. 10 overs no maiden, 3 for 68. Mohit Sharma bowled well, 1 for 48. Harbhajan Singh was excellent, 10 overs 2 for 50. Akshar Patel 10 overs no maiden, 1 for 40, also bowled well. And Amit Mishra 10 overs no maiden, 1 for 55. 5-match series level 2-2. The focus shifts on to the final one-day international, which is going to be played in Mumbai. Dear fans and subscribers, it was a real pleasure bringing you this cricket happening show today. Hope you all loved it and enjoyed it. And I'll be seeing you tomorrow with the again with the match summaries on the second day's play in both the test matches, Sri Lanka, West Indies, and Pakistan, England. Until such time I see you, dear fans and subscribers, it's goodbye from Host Ram Studios. Thank you.